Help me welcome the third speaker, Dennis. You never know. You never know Dennis Bar.
Yeah,
Pretty good. Yeah.
How many of you have gone bowling? 5 or 10 pin? Yeah? How many of you have bowled 12 strikes in a row and got a perfect game? That's okay. It's not a real easy thing to do, either 5 or 10 pin. A few years ago, a good friend of mine, Jesse Beauchard, bowled a perfect game. Now in Canada, out of tens of thousands of games bowled, only maybe 10 will be perfect games. What's amazing about this is Jesse Beauchard was born with cerebral palsy and has epilepsy. Jesse doesn't have use of his left side of his body. And while most people will plant with their left leg and throw the ball, Jesse has to do it this way. Now, he was told that he would probably never be able to get a perfect game, but you never know. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, have you ever wanted to be your boss's boss just to get back at them? Have you ever thought, will I ever see that person again? Or have you ever thought, I'm never going to change my mind? Well, let me tell you, you never know. In 1996, living in Edmonton, I was working in a bowling center, 5-pin bowling center. And the big bowling company Brunswick was coming to town. It's similar to if Amazon said they were coming to build a warehouse or their home office. And to bowlers, it was a real big deal. They were building a huge entertainment complex. And I went to apply. Being that I knew bowling, I applied for the bowling center. And I had an interview with Mike, and Mike and I talked, and a few weeks later I was hired as the technical term was a pin setter technician. It might be known as a pin boy, but we didn't actually put the pins down. And I worked with Mike and another boss of mine, Darren. And after a few years, my boss, Darren, left. And then one day, and Mike and I started to get really close. He was my direct boss. I was working my way up and learning more about mechanics in the business. And one day I was at Mike's place, helping him paint his house. And he said, Dennis, I've been transferred to Brampton, and I'm going to go and be a mechanic in a bowling center in Brampton. That's why he had me at his house painting, because he needed help so he could sell his house, but I didn't clue in. But Mike left, and I started to make my way up more in the company, became manager of the bowling center. And then one day, the general manager, Jeff, called me and he said, Dennis, what about managing your own bowling center? What do you think of that? Yeah. What do you think about managing a bowling center in Brampton? Yeah. I get to be the boss of the guy that hired me and was my boss. Because you never know. Yeah. Have you ever thought, I'll never see that person again? Well, let me tell you, you never know. Sometimes people just appear way down the road. I joined Hershaw Toastmasters in 2007, and at that time, in the summer, we only had every second week meetings. Brampton Toastmasters, just down the road on Wednesdays, had every other second week meetings during the summer. So I used to go to Brampton and be part of their meetings, got to know some of their members. They would come here. And I was doing a table topics one time, and I mentioned that I was from Edmonton. And Cheryl, one of the members, said, Dennis, you're from Edmonton? So am I. What part of Edmonton are you from? The north side. Really? I live close to there too. What school did you go to? Did you go to Roslyn Junior High? Yeah, so did I. We went to the same junior high at the same time. Now, I don't know if we actually talked, but she didn't seem to hate me, so I guess everything was okay. What further kind of went with you never know is I was helping her with the youth leadership program, a Toastmaster program. And she said, Dennis, how was your week? I said, oh, I had to go to Edmonton because my dad was in the hospital. She said, I was in Edmonton. My dad was in the hospital too. It turns out our fathers were one floor separated, and both of us were there at the same exact time visiting our father. So you never know. Have you ever thought, I'm never going to change my mind, I'm always going to think this way? Let me tell you, you never know. I went to OCAD University, undergrad in graphic design. And the last year, you had to pick a thesis. And it was something you would do for the whole year. You would research it and then come up with a project for the end. I chose texting and how bad texting is for communication and how it's ruining the world and meaning changes and how bad it was. I read every book and I was so convinced that texting was bad. And after my project, I had other people convinced text messaging is going to rule the world, nobody should ever do it. Well, that was about 7 years ago. Now, would you believe my job is to help companies improve their customer service experience by allowing text messages. So I've now changed my mind. Now texting is the best thing ever, and I encourage everybody should actually text. You never know. If in your lives you think maybe I can't accomplish something, you never know. Jesse bowled a perfect game, and a lot of people thought that was never going to happen, and Jesse, well, he did, because Jesse was very optimistic. So you never know. If you ever are angry at your boss and wish, boy, I wish I could be your boss, that may happen one day, because you never know. If you ever think, I'll never see that person again, you might just see them down the road at another Toastmaster meeting. Or if you ever thought, you are never going to change my mind on that, you never know. Mr. Toastmaster.